Hello, welcome back to Dark Corners Undead, our year-end review / year-beginning preview, a thoroughly uncomprehensive look at movies that we've personally seen in the last year and that we're looking forward to, or not, in the coming year. It's been a relatively good year for Dark Corners, hasn't it? No, it hasn't really.
No, it hasn't.
I stopped to think about it.
We really thought we would hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And then we thought, all right, we're going to hit 99. And then it's like, well, maybe we'll scrape into 98.
I think we will. Next year.
100,000.
100,000. Some sort of big celebration, maybe. To be honest, there'd have been a much bigger celebration if we'd done it in the year.
An overnight success, 15 years in the making.
We've had some good moments and some and Island of Lost Souls.
Yes.
We put out one of our most popular and successful specials ever that was taken down in 2 days flat by Universal International, who I don't think we'll ever forgive.
But, you know, it's 2 years away from being out of copyright.
Yeah, we're coming for you.
It's going out January 1st. But you can also see it as a YouTube member or Patreon subscriber. It is available there.
And although we wouldn't encourage it, it's perfectly feasible for you to join, watch it, and leave.
Yes.
We still get some money out of you, but we'd like you to stick around. There's lots of other good stuff on there.
What stuff is on there this year?
This year we've had our weekly series, 50 Weeks of Boris Karloff, looking at every horror film that Boris Karloff made, which I think is a pretty impressive project. Sort of like we did the top 10 Boris Karloff horror films. It's that, but about 25 hours long. Certainly introduced me to some new films and some good ones. I've never seen The Black Castle, which, having watched it, I thought, I'm not sure this is really a horror film, but it's a fun film and has Richard Green in it.
Any others that jumped out at you?
Targets, it wasn't my first time watching it, but I've forgotten what a good film it was.
Why did you make a threatening gesture to my servant when you saw him this morning? And Death said, I made no threatening gesture. That was only a start of surprise. I was astonished to see him here in Baghdad, for I have an appointment with him tonight in Samara.
It's the first time this year I've watched Tower of London, because it's one that you don't see streaming quite so much. That was a bit of a disappointment, to be honest. That's definitely not a horror film, which is why we didn't include it. A bit of a meh film altogether. Karloff's good, Basil Rathbone's good, and Vincent Price in an early role. But it's always a shame when you sort of build these films up. Similar for the Fu Manchu one that he made. There is maybe a reason that this film is not widely seen. In fact, there's a couple. But the fact that it wasn't very good was not necessarily the one I was expecting.
You're Fu Manchu, aren't you? I'm a doctor of philosophy from Edinburgh. I'm a doctor of law from Christ College. I'm a doctor of medicine from Harvard. My friends, out of courtesy, call me Doc.
Favourite special of the year?
Oh, we did this. I think I'm going to stick with the Todd Slaughter one. I think we did some really good specials this year, because we did the Hammer one, the Cornish duo of the Reptile and Plague of the Zombies. I particularly love Plague of the Zombies. I thought that was a really good special. And obviously we've already mentioned Island of Lost Souls. That I thought was a really good special. But there was something different about the Todd Slaughter one, and he was such an interesting character. It's quite nice doing a special. It's a little while since we've done one about a person rather than about a series of films or anything, and really sort of dug into that person a little bit. And Slaughter's such a character.
You ask too much. Why, when we are married and friendship has ripened into love, see, it fits perfectly.
Cool. And what's the Patreon YouTube series next year?
Next year it is, maybe this year by the time this goes out, 50 weeks of Sherlock Holmes. So there are so many versions of Sherlock Holmes. I did initially think, oh, is this going to sustain if they're all a bit similar? But there are so many. I think I'm going to be spoilt for choice. Because I was thinking I might do a couple by Basil Rathbone throughout the year. And I thought probably if I'm going to do a couple by Basil Rathbone, maybe cover them in one episode, as it were. Otherwise, I don't think I'll cover the breadth of it. And it's extraordinary. And hopefully, touch wood, I will be able, again, I don't know when this is going out, but my plan is to go and see at the Watershed in Bristol go and see 3 Eileen Norwood silent Sherlock Holmes to start the year, because they're screening, I think, on the 31st. So that will be a great way to start it off. Not the first film Sherlock Holmes. I think the most prominent of the silent ones, I would say.
And are we still on the lookout for weird Sherlock Holmes adaptations?
Well, I think I've got some pretty comprehensive lists, and some people have already shot me some titles, so I don't think I'm struggling for them, but we've found a few. There's more than one time travel one. Weird. Time travel, there's one where Sherlock Holmes, I think he's been frozen or something and is woken up in the present, in the 80s.
Well, there is the one that we said that's based around
the Lake Havasu,
London Bridge. Yeah, where he wakes up there and is confused
reasonably
if it's not London. Okay, what about your choice of the films you saw this year?
Right, as we've said, I remember absolutely nothing. But films I remember seeing this year, I definitely saw the new Knives Out film, Wake Up Dead Man, last week, which I really enjoyed. I don't want to say too much about it because Graham hasn't seen it. I'm sure a lot of you haven't seen it yet, although it is on Netflix now. But I got it on the last day of its cinema release. And yeah, I mean, I just found it very entertaining. Which is, I think, my bar with Knives Out. I don't expect the earth of them, but just entertaining whodunits, and it's a fun character.
Yeah, it's a real shame that it's, because it's a Netflix original, it's in the cinemas long enough to qualify for awards.
But yeah, I also think that Knives Out is sort of becoming like an exemplar of how you can do a franchise and it not be dull and tedious and repetitive. Although, in the end, they are murder mysteries, and this is their nature. And this is one thing I will say, I think Wake Up Dead Man improves on Glass Onion in the sense that Glass Onion felt like Benoit Blanc's story, and certainly the original Knives Out, you wouldn't really say that Daniel Craig is the star of that. You'd say Ana de Armas' character is, and this tilts more back in that favour. I would say that it's more about, and you have this periphery of other characters. So it's about characters, and then there's just this one person who comes in as sort of like a pivot on it. But it means that the stories don't have to be, because they're not always focused on Benoit Blanc in maybe the way of a James Bond film, that they are always Bond. So if you want to give him a character story, you quickly run out of steam, or his life becomes ridiculously melodramatic, and it's just tortured and self-examining, and you don't have that baggage with this because the other characters can bear it.
Yeah, because he's introduced very late in the original Knives Out film, in the story.
Yes, I'm not going to say when he's introduced in this one, but yeah. And I would never say it's his film. He's just the character that comes off. And it reminded me when I was watching it, that, you know what, that sort of, it's a very different film, but with the Pink Panther, the original Pink Panther film, Peter Sellers is not the star of that. Inspector Clouseau just sort of like comes in, and he's a very prominent character, and he's the one who got the spin-off, who got the series, who continued in multiple films. And you know, nobody wanted to see David Niven's character again, particularly. It was just Peter Sellers went in and owned it. I don't think that's quite the same with Knives Out, but it's similar.
Yeah. Anything else?
I mean, I did enjoy Frankenstein. It's not one I'm going to go back to over and over and over. Sinners was a fantastic. That would be one of my films of the year for sure. I think everybody's saying that. As much for the music as anything else.
Yeah.
Well, I think we both said the only problem with Sinners as a horror film is that when the horror starts, the music kind of stops and you sort of miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely one that I really enjoyed. Yeah, saw it in the IMAX, and you have the moment that it's variable aspect ratios through the film, so much of it is widescreen, and then there's the bit where they're all lined up and they're inviting the vampires in, and as they do, that's when like the aspect ratio just opens up, so like it sort of gives that extra like, oh shit's gonna hit the fan. Even though that probably wasn't the most satisfying part of the film, I think the musical number bits were the standouts.
It was also, I genuinely, I had no idea that Buddy Guy was still alive.
Yes.
This must be the last of his generation.
I did know, because I was toying with seeing him last year. I think my pick of the horrors was Bring Her Back, which is from the guys who did Talk to Me. Listen. Equally has like some really disturbing moments in it, but incredibly character-led, and it felt like a horror film, like just the dread you had the whole way through it, the injustice that's going on within this story, like you're really behind this character, and sort of delivers on like this the message that it's trying to do, and it's just a really interesting film that's, well, we have in the UK 18 rated horror, which is a big change from a lot of the PG-13 horror that was out last year. Where I feel this year we had some really good horror, like Sinners and Bring Her Back, Weapons. Yeah, good horror this year.
Should we look at some of the films coming out next year?
Whoa, let's throw my laptop across the room. Okay, so first up we've got Evil Dead Burn.
I heard, sorry, there's a British comedian called Ed Byrne, and that was Evil Ed Byrne is what I heard. I'm just not fussed anymore, as I tend to lose interest in franchises, and you know, I think, to be honest, I really enjoy the original 3 Evil Dead films. Just didn't really take any interest in the reboots at all.
Cool.
Which doesn't mean they're bad.
They're technically not reboots. They are all existing in the same worlds. So
I'd rather get another series of Ash versus the Evil Dead. Repetitive though it was just entertaining, because in the end, I like the character.
Yeah. Next up, 28 years later, part 2, The Bone Temple. So you didn't see the first part?
No, I'm quite behind on 28 days.
So I think enough time has passed so we can talk about the ending of it.
All right, spoilers.
Spoilers if you haven't seen it. And it's not really like a plot point. It's just kind of like, it's the Marvel-style teaser at the end kind of thing. But it is within the main body of the film.
I'm distancing myself. This is all his decision.
Yes. It's in the trailer for the new film as well. So
that's true.
I'm saying it's common knowledge. The kids... He's going through sort of zombie world. He gets attacked by zombies. And all of a sudden, these blonde guys in tracksuits and gold chains jump out, do acrobats, kill the zombies. It's a wild tonal shift from the rest of the film. And you're looking at it going, why does this guy look like Jimmy Savile? That's weird. And then it turns out there's some weird Jimmy Savile cult. But obviously, at the time that the zombie apocalypse happened in 28 years ago, so 98. It wasn't well known that Jimmy Savile was a renowned sex offender. So all of these people are like following a Jimmy Savile who was more known as still a weird television mainstay, but children's entertainer and man who does lots of stuff for charity.
Yeah. I mean, there is a decision made now that we all know that stuff. So
okay. So it's it's quite
an
odd one, especially for, I think, UK audiences, because we know Jimmy Savile. But I imagine for American audiences, it's weird on another level, because they don't know why all of these people, for everyone in the UK, it's like, oh, we recognise a Jimmy Savile.
But we've established there is a precedent for Jimmy Savile cults.
Yes.
Which we could show a clip. This is off of a comedy game show, I suppose, in which nobody wins points or anything, called Shooting Stars. Other than that, I don't think there's any explaining this clip.
Now then.
But I do wonder if that was in either Alex Garland or...
Alex Garland wrote it, and Danny Boyle.
That's it. Yeah. I don't know if that was in their heads at all.
It does feel, looking at the trailer at least of 28 years later, it feels very Day of the Dead, where, or maybe we can reintegrate the zombies or calm them. So how much that's going to play into this film. And whether there's going to be a third one, which I think was rumoured at some point.
Right. I mean, the stuff with Ray Fiennes in the trailer has a sort of a vaguely folk horror vibe until the zombies show up.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Maybe there's some influence of that, which would be kind of interesting. I think when stuff like this, when apocalypse of any sort happen, then people tend to sort of like reach back to roots, and this is because we've gotten out of touch with the earth and all that.
Yes.
So I find that quite believable.
And he is established in the previous film, and that is kind of what he is.
Yeah.
He's just out there by himself, doing his thing, sort of preserving history and sort of a monument to the dead and stuff. Next up, we have Mike Flanagan possibly doing another Exorcist reboots after the last one that Universal paid a whopping $400 million for. I don't quite know where all of this, whether that was like an initial promise of paying 400 million for a trilogy of Exorcist films, but the first one tanked, and so it's
and was
gone.
shredded
Yes.
critically.
This is my favourite bit from the trailer.
Exorcism is a ritual. Every culture, every religion, they all use different methods. It's going to take all of them.
That is a sort of an Avengers Assemble thing. If you just have sort of Buddha and Jesus and lining up in that sort of circle movement that you get in Avengers Assemble, that would be great.
Yeah. But director Mike Flanagan is currently working on a Carrie TV series.
Working on reboots of films that really no one was asking for another version of.
Yeah, but if they were, we've already had one, and there's been a sequel.
How many times do you have to get this thing wrong before saying, maybe we should? I wonder what made the originals of these different and special, and nobody is going that they were original.
They need to be bigger.
Yeah. Clearly, we haven't spent enough money on them. That's the problem.
Okay, next up, Pinocchio Unstrung. This is the next film of the, what did I call it? The Twisted Childhood universe.
Yeah. I can't say I'm looking forward to that. I can't say I'm going to watch that, so maybe I shouldn't really care.
And there is also the third instalment of Pooh, Blood and Honey. Characters out of copyright universe.
Yeah.
But Robert Englund is playing the cricket.
Jiminy.
They-
Two, Jiminy Cricket's coming for you.
They just say crickets in the credits. I
Disney's
think
put-
Jiminy Cricket might be a copyrighted Disney character for a few more years.
Pinocchio's out of copyright, but Jiminy Cricket isn't.
Yeah, but crickets...
It's baffling stuff.
Yeah.
It's baffling stuff. Because the cricket's in the book.
Yes, but he might not be called Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah, no.
So-
Presumably not.
Then we got Terrifier 4.
Okay, that's really more you than me.
Any thoughts on that one?
I'd just be lost. I haven't seen
Cool.
and have no intention
It's apparently
of
going to
watching.
dig into the mythology of Art the Clown. And as we know, when you explain stuff, it's always better. in
Always
horror.
better. I'd rather watch Prometheus than Alien any day.
Yeah.
I'm being sarcastic, incidentally, just on that, just in case anybody thinks I would actually rather watch Prometheus than Alien.
We have untitled Jordan Peele movie.
I don't think Jordan Peele has the consistency that everyone sometimes attributes to him, or not that everyone does, but he's always an interesting filmmaker, and he's capable of making really, really good films.
Yeah, he's made 3 original films, which is a blessing in this day and age.
Yes, yeah.
David Robert Mitchell's next film. He's director of It Follows and Under the Silver Lake.
Yeah.
This is
Except one I like, one I really hated.
Flower Vale Street. This is starring Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor. It's a movie set in the 80s, bizarre happenings in the neighbourhood, and judging by the poster, something to do with dinosaurs.
I'd love it. That's a much better title. Something to do with dinosaurs.
Something to do with dinosaurs.
But yeah, I mean, when you initially, the first part of that sentence with the sort of like something weird is happening in the neighbourhood, you just think, well, that sounds as generic as you like.
Yeah.
How dinosaurs are being manifested here,
Yeah.
I'll admit, if that's just something they're teasing to try and give it some interest, I don't know, but I love that idea.
Well, I think we were talking before about how it really sucks that Jurassic Park seems to have a monopoly on dinosaur movies, that nobody else can make a dinosaur movie in the present day. So hopefully this breaks that, because Jurassic Park really isn't doing anything with that IP of dinosaurs. And there shouldn't be anything that stops anybody else from doing it.
No,
you can't copyright a T-Rex.
No. It is... Am I the only person who thinks it's really surprising that there's not been like a big budget version of The Lost World since technology improved?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been TV movie versions and cheap ones that have used the technology, but not like a proper one. And I don't really get why.
It's almost like, to some degree, there's an element of that in Peter Jackson's King Kong. For worse.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is Werewolf. Werewolf. This is Robert Eggers' werewolf movie, which I think quite cunningly he's spelt it Werwulf, which must really help with searching. So, werewolf film set in medieval Britain.
Yeah, which I have no specific problem. That sounds like an interesting prospect. I think for me, I like some Robert Eggers films. I have not liked some of his. Obviously, I really hated Nosferatu, so I'm always a little bit cagey. I think the more successful Robert Eggers is, then the more he leans into his Robert Eggersness, and I don't think that is always to a film's service.
Wolf Creek Legacy, so this is coming off the back of 3 films and at least 1 season of a TV show.
It's never going to be for me. I don't really see that there's anything so stupendously original about the premise of Wolf Creek that you're going, oh, I want to see much more of that.
Yeah.
I think the original was shot differently and took a sort of different perspective, and it was paced differently. But I don't feel like the subsequent films were. So
Cool.
I don't know. To me, it doesn't make much sense. But you know, if you like the other ones, you might well like that one.
But if you want an original film, how about Zombikini?
Pretty sure the title came first.
I think so. Next up, The Bride.
Yeah, I mean, we watched the trailer for this, and it's one of those where you think, I think it started off, and I was thinking, I'm not sure this is going to be something that particularly appeals to me, but it does look interesting, and there are interesting ideas here. And that sort of ceased when Christian Bale came on screen.
There was an
The
element,
longer the trailer went on.
there's an element of it that makes me feel like Dracula's daughter.
Right.
Yeah,
Dracula's widow?
Dracula's widow. That sort of merging of different styles, and maybe it doesn't work as it should.
Because it is Bonnie and Clyde with the creature and the bride.
Yes.
Bonnie and Clyde with the creature and the bride. What it reminded me of, there's a Far Side cartoon which is like Frankenstein's prom photo, which is the creature with his date. And a very crude drawing of Frankenstein's creature really does actually remind me of Christian Bale's makeup.
Next up, we have Scream 7. So this time, Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream 1, 2 and 4, is writing and also directing for the first time.
I think the original Scream was just was a great film and a sort of a reinvention of the horror genre, and now it's sort of become the thing that it parodied.
Yes, yeah, not lampooned, but yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't. In fairness, I haven't watched all of the sequels. Maybe they're all amazing, but it never really strikes me as that way. I think
Spoilers,
that it's just,
they're not.
Yeah, I just think. I just don't see the purpose in any franchise like this. I mean, in the end, it's a slasher movie. You know what's going to happen.
Yes, and it's also because it's got to adhere to the Scream twist, which is there's 2 of them.
Right.
That's the twist in every single one. And it's also like, oh, who could it be? Who's it? You're basically left with a very similar, having to introduce characters and figure out who's the most unlikely people to be revealed as the Screams.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying to pitch it as that the USP this time is the fact that Sydney Sweeney's character, Neve Campbell's character, is a mother, and she's sort of like guiding her daughter through the same thing that she went through, and she never benefited from that. I just don't think that's quite enough.
No, it also sort of played in the trailer like, oh, this time the stakes are really high.
I'm gonna burn it all down. Mother!
It's all been building to this. It's like, well, no, it's the same thing we've had for the last 6 movies.
Yeah, I mean, commendably few entries in a franchise that's been going for that long.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like stopped for a long time, but still, not necessary, I wouldn't have thought.
Cold Storage. This is one with Liam Neeson and the guy you hated.
Yeah, I didn't like the guy that I hated. Every time that man opened his mouth, I just wanted to punch him.
We've got Strangers Chapter 3.
I remember when we did this for Strangers Cat Chapter 1, just on the basis of this, there doesn't really look to be anything that warrants 3 movies.
No, and it was a long first movie that didn't go anywhere. Next up, Shaun the Sheep and the Beast from Mozzie Bottom.
Mossy, but yeah,
Mossy
by
Bottom.
far the film I'm looking forward to most next year, because I love Aardman. And I'm not saying that with any irony whatsoever. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be great. The Shaun the Sheep movies have been consistently brilliant. I've revisited them all.
Masters of the Universe.
I was interested because I am a child of the He-Man generation. I was interested, and then I saw the plot and just thought, well, that's not He-Man, is it?
Yeah.
He
starts off on Earth and then finds out he's basically the heir to, I guess, Castle Grayskull.
If your only reason for watching it, as in my case, is nostalgia, then that's immediately lost me. So I guess I know that He-Man's had other iterations through the years, so other people may have other opinions. But for me, I'd like it to be like my childhood, and it's not going to be.
Is it going to have a serious tone, or is it going to be, I guess it's probably just going to be Marvel comedy, would be my guess.
I would think.
Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu.
I never got on with The Mandalorian. I mean, there's not a lot of Star Wars content that I do get along with, and that one, it never really grabbed me because he didn't, because I didn't think The Mandalorian was an interesting character remotely.
Yeah.
And if there's not a character to follow, then I can't be asked.
There's something quite low stakes about a guy who's bulletproof.
Exactly. I remember watching an episode where he was battling robots. A robot just sort of like repeatedly shot him, and nothing happened. And he took the robot's gun and shot it, and it's down. He just thought, why the hell would I care? That's the wrong way round. He should be the one in greater danger.
Yes.
That seems like screenwriting 101, but it's a hugely successful series, so, what the hell do I know about anything?
Well, it's like the series, especially the last one, just comes across as like a series of fetch quests. Lee Cornin's Mummy film.
Oh, yeah, which I don't know a lot about, but, I think a mummy, you can always reinvent Mummy because there are so many mummies. It doesn't have to adhere to any specific movie mythology. I'm interested into how this family bumps into a mummy because it seems to be a very different plot to what you usually get from mummy films, so I'm quite interested by that.
How about the rumoured Brendan Fraser coming back for another mummy film?
I'm more interested in the Lee Cornin one because at least I don't know what that'll be, and it could be anything as far as I'm concerned. I'm not hugely familiar with this stuff. The Brendan Fraser one, it just feels a little bit done. I mean, the third film was terrible.
Yeah.
The first film was fun.
Yes.
The second film was fine.
Yeah.
Nothing really new. Third film, I don't think anybody liked that one, did they?
It's kind of like, what do you do? Because it's kind of a bit like Indiana Jones, old Indiana Jones with a younger one. It's not such a physically fit Brendan Fraser. So it's kind of their whole sort of genre of action adventure suddenly becomes more difficult, as was proven by the last two Indiana Jones films.
And the fact is, I mean, those early Mummy films, they were sort of, not exactly at the dawn, but early in CGI. And
yeah. I think there was a lot of really good sort of cutting edge CGI.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not messing with it. What I'm saying is that now CGI has moved on to this point where it's like everything. I'm not sure I want to see that sort of thing being. I never want to see that sort of thing being done with excessive CGI, because action adventure done without the jeopardy, when everything is possible.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're using CGI to do the stunts, to keep the stuntmen safe, which I'm not necessarily against, I want to see the characters doing stuff only that is possible. I hate it when human beings start doing things that are physically impossible, or they're just too impossibly lucky in what happens. Everything is perfect. Yeah. And I just don't want to see that.
Yeah, there's a good sort of messiness to reality that I think is quite often lacking in a lot of superhero films, where all of their movements are so fluid and so tightly choreographed, and there's not just that messiness of like reality. Example would be, look at the fight between Sean Connery and Grant in From Russia with Love on the train. Yeah. It's a messy fight, and therefore it feels like it has a jeopardy.
Yeah,
to
or
it.
Any Jackie Chan fight.
I mean,
virtually,
almost,
or not his more recent ones, I suppose.
I guess I'm a little bit different with Jackie Chan because it is all really well choreographed and a lot of takes to it.
But the shit gets kicked out.
But the shit gets kicked out of him, and things get smashed, and people get smashed through things, and people fall and hit the ground. Yeah.
Well, there's the fight between Christopher Lee and Michael York in the Three Musketeers film, where they are both absolutely knackered.
Yeah.
And you think that's something you so seldom see.
Which that always disappointed me with Revenge of the Sith, that the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin, that at the end of it, prior to getting his limbs cut off and burning alive, wildly different compared to how Luke was at the end of Empire Strikes Back, where he was just Like that,
taken apart.
he looked like he'd been through a fight. He's sweating. He's got cuts and bruises on him from where he's fallen over. His clothes are ripped, and they've just got
psychological toll.
Yeah, don't think that was really in that fight. And
and it should have been. Really.
And that was what was really like the choreography. Amazing stuff that they are really doing. A lot of the sword fighting aspects of it. But no one's trying to ever catch their breath. They've got infinite energy.
Yeah.
And then he just like strolls off.
Yeah, those sort of things do make a difference in fight scenes.
Yeah.
They really do. Even Sanjuro, the Kurosawa film, you see the character has an almost superhuman ability to win fights, and he's in a fight when there's loads of the guards that he's taking on at once. And of course he's going to win the fight, but he looks knackered at the end of it. I mean, Mifune is in his 40s by this point, and there's a very real exhaustion to it. Always an open mind. Maybe they can recapture the fun, but I'm not overly enthused about Brendan Fraser's new Mummy, if it happens.
Ready or Not 2, Here I Come Again? I don't know.
Yeah. I haven't seen the first one. It's not really my sort of thing. To be honest, I don't think that's ever been done, that premise has ever been done better than Most Dangerous Game.
Send Help, Sam Raimi's new one.
There's definitely something interesting in there. Based on the trailer, I think the boss is almost too much of a caricature.
Yes, it looks like they're going to flip, maybe.
Yeah.
It does feel like the trailer is withholding a lot, I think.
It feels like both, to be honest. There's an awful lot in there.
Yeah, but I also feel that there's like a bigger twist within that.
Yes,
I would hope it's not just two people on a desert island. I guess it's almost like a Misery at one point. It feels like at some point.
Yeah.
What are we doing next year? What are some specials?
Coming up next year, we've got first up our top 10 Bela Lugosi horrors, there's a lot of films to go through. It's a very, very different problem to the Boris Karloff ones, because once Boris Karloff became a star, and except by choice, he was top bill and starring from there on in. There's a few films where he was doing stage work, he was doing TV, or he was just getting a bit old, and he consciously took smaller roles. That's not really the case with Lugosi. There's an awful lot of films in there in which he has very small roles, and you encounter the problem that I never did with Boris Karloff, and saying, where do I put a film that is like a good film in which he has a tiny role, compared to where do I put a crappy film, but he's very good in it. So I have those decisions to make within the top, and our top 10s are all bullshit anyway, let's be honest. But sort of addressing that. So something like The Body Snatcher, which was high in our Boris Karloff top 10, as it should be, great film, but it's not you don't think, oh, I'll go, that's a Karloff film more than a Lugosi film by any measure. On the other hand, there are films in which he is the best thing by quite a long way. So where do you sort of stack these things up?
Yeah.
So I've done my usual thing of splitting them up into
categories,
and we'll see what comes out on top. I haven't 100% made my mind up about what's number one. I've got sort of like a solid top 3 there, and you're just sort of like, I don't know, what do I want to do with these? And of course, Island of Dr. Moreau would be another one. Tiny role in a fantastic film.
Or even the werewolf one.
Yes, he's in The Wolfman.
Yes.
Again, very, very briefly. I think I'm trending towards having a category of Blink and You'll Miss Him, as it were, of just like great films in which he had small roles. And I think that would maybe be the best way to handle it. So there's a lot of films to watch. A lot of them aren't very good, but I'm into that now, and that will be out relatively early next year.
Cool. Then it's up next after that.
I think we're looking at the Todd Browning special after that, which is a big, ambitious thing, I think.
Yeah.
Lots of films to watch for that, and decide exactly how, because of course we can't possibly address all of them, because silent filmmakers in that era tremendously prolific,
and also a lot of them lost.
A lot lost, and mostly from that earlier part of his career, not really our sort of thing, as it were. But I don't want to skirt over them altogether. So it'll be a question of going through and trying to find what I can find of his career. But I've got a very good biography written by David Scarl, and I'm going to forget his co-writer's name, but there we go.
Yeah. And then we're going to look at the characters in Freaks.
Yes.
Sort of to give a little background to them and their lives.
Indeed.
Then top 10 Chaney.
Top 10 horror films of Lon Chaney, which will be very take a broader spectrum approach to the word horror in that, because I don't think he really made very many true horror films, but people categorise them.
So that's kind of...
That's a good half year's worth at least.
Yes.
I think.
So expect those.
A few of those are going to take a lot of work and research, particularly the Browning one.
Yeah.
Think so. We can quickly take a moment to mention that we have a horror film quiz book, which is still there, still good.
Pick a
Test your
random
horror knowledge.
question
Pick a
for
random
someone
question.
to answer.
All right. This is just okay. Closed eyes. What 2007 film did Bruce Campbell direct and star in as himself?
And your other books there?
Yeah, there are other books which all make good presents and stuff. These are in no particular order, but they are all available on your Amazons for shockingly reasonable prices. You can buy the entire set for a very reasonable price, as it turns out. And frustratingly, I forgot to bring the new one with me. There are now 8 of these books. Pretorius is the most recent. Graham will put something on screen. Yes. But yeah, I'll bring up a copy of that next time. And that is, I want to make it clear to everyone, because I don't want anyone to buy it and narrate. It is a direct sequel to The Legacy of Frankenstein. It's the only one. You can read these books in any order except that one, which was maybe a mistake, but it's just the way that it panned out with the story.
Lovely. Anything else? There's 1 minute left on this tape.
No, we may as well quit early.
Cool. All right. Thank you
Hope
very
you have
much.
a great new year. Yeah, happy New Year. Have a great New Year, or whenever this is going out.
About that time.
Hope you had a good 2025. Looking forward to a better 2026. We'll see you there.
Cool.